It is 4:30, and we'll call this regular meeting of the City Council of Madisonville to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation by Tony Space.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for all the blessings that you give us. Thank you for your mercy and your grace. Father, I pray that as we look at Christmas here in about a week, I just pray that all the presents and toys and food won't distract us from the real meaning of Christmas. Father, I ask that you bless this council, give us your wisdom. Everything that we do and say bring honor to you. I ask that you watch over our first responders and keep them safe. Bless our nation, protect us from our enemies. I pray all this in your name. Amen.
Kim, would you call the roll?
Yes, sir. Misty Cavanaugh. Tony Space.
Here.
Adam Townsend.
Here.
Larry Knopfsinger.
Here.
Frank Stevenson.
Here.
Chad Mincer.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Okay. First on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the last meeting of the council on December 4th.
The city council meeting was held December the 4th, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. in the city council chambers. It was called to order by Mayor Kevin Cotton. We had the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation by Councilmember Chad Mincer. The mayor and all city council members were present except for Misty Cavanaugh and Frank Stevenson. Approval of the previous minutes of November the 20th, 2023 was approved. We had approval of the minutes of the special work session was approved. We had approval of bills and payroll. We also had, I got those backwards. We had a department report, a planning and zoning report. We had a resolution to declare the electric equipment as surplus. We also had a motion to adjourn, and that was approved.
Are there any corrections or questions regarding the minutes? If so, if not, do we have a motion to accept the minutes as presented? Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion passes. Next, we look at the bills and payroll.
We have the total general fund of $1,676,219.31. Total sanitation of $114,740.24. Total electric utility of $327,601.72. Total water filter of $219,592.23. And total wastewater collection and treatment of $335,585.42. We have estimated biweekly payroll, governmental of $54,870, police of $166,848, fire of $168,946, transportation of $31,538, cemetery of $4,878, park $19,070, sanitation of $51,663, light fund of $93,494, wastewater treatment of $21,224. Wastewater collection of $32,904, water and filter of $55,283, the Madisonville Sportsplex of $3,085 for a total estimated biweekly payroll of $703,808.
Do we have any questions or discussion regarding the bills and payroll? Would like to point out under the general fund that includes a commitment budgeted with regard to support for the development project. If no questions or discussion, do I have a motion to approve the bills and payroll as presented?
Move.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, we have department reports, and we want to begin with a presentation from Bill Rudd, representing as the president of the Madisonville Hopkins County Economic Development Corporation. Bill?
I'll try to keep it short because the Honorable Joe Evans said he has a roasting oven, so I've got to get him home in time to get it out. And Chief Brian, I'm your neighbor now. I don't know if you know that. What time's dinner tonight? 6 o'clock. Oh, okay, I'll be there. First off, I want to thank you all. Y'all have been very supportive of economic development, and we thoroughly appreciate it. Plus, I want to thank you for your wisdom. There's 3 things y'all been involved in the past year, I think, that are going to prove very fruitful for Madisonville and Hopkins County. That's Alstrom, the retail development, much, much needed. It's one of the greatest thing I think that's happened here. It's going to improve our quality of life here tremendously. My hat's off, and we're getting a lot of comments. The other is the sports complex. We got a lot of naysayers out there. We're going to prove them wrong. It's great for the quality of life. Needed to happen. Should have happened years ago. Now, let's talk about economic development. I guess the question everybody wants to know, is there any industry coming? And the answer is no, not yet. Are we working some things? Yes, we are. But we don't have anything yet committed. What I'd like to talk to you a little bit about tonight is our sites that we have. There's 3 boards here. There's the Industrial Development Authority called IDA. There's the Madisonville Hopkins County Economic Development. And then there's a group called the ODE, Hopkins County Economic Development. Those 3 groups own 2 pieces of property, I guess jointly you should say. One's a 16.8 acre tract across from General Electric. The other is a 72 acre tract on Rose Creek Road. We finally got our sites, and we've got some other sites that we've got options on, but those are all that we own personally. I lost my train of thought for a second. The 16.8 acre tract, let me go back one, shovel ready. Shovel ready means you've got a site, you know where your utilities are, maybe not at the site, but you've located them, and you know the boundaries and what infrastructure is there, the size and all that. That's all you got. We were not shovel ready 9 months ago. The next stage is to go to what's called build ready. That's what the state of Kentucky Economic Development Cabinet is promoting. Build ready means all utilities are at the site, that all your archaeological studies are done, your geotechnical studies are done. You've got a pad ready. You've done all your engineering, all the surveys. We are in the process of trying to get the 16.8 acre tract across from General Electric build ready. We have let the contract go out to the engineering company. The total cost to get a pad ready site on that 16.8 acres is going to be somewhere between $600,000 and $750,000. That's just to get the pad ready. There is no building. That's what the state's pushing. What it's going to do is it's going to take a year off of a timeline if a prospect comes to town. And that's how long it'll take for us to go through this process to get it build ready. Is that the answer? No. Is everybody in this, every other county in the state of Kentucky have a build ready site or 2 or 3? Yes. And we don't. It's kind of sad. There's build-ready sites that have been out there for 3 to 4 years that are just kind of sitting there. But we've got to get on the same footing that everybody else is on. So we're going to work towards that goal to get build-ready. In doing that, we are out talking to some other counties to maybe try to get more regionalized, kind of pull in some. And I know nobody wants to hear this word, but it's a spec building. I firmly believe that spec buildings are coming back. I know we sat out there on the Parkway with a spec building for 15 years at least. But that spec building brought all these prospects to town. And if we can get them here, we can sell them on our quality of life and what we have to offer. But we got to get them here. Trigg County just put up a spec building, did the groundbreaking 2 weeks ago. It's a 100,000 square foot spec building. Just a shell, no concrete floor. 5.4 million. Just the shell. And we don't have 5.4 million. And I'm not here asking for money. I'm just saying that's what things are running right now. Trigg County has already got some interest in their building, and they've had people coming in and looking at it, and we are not. We've been to Frankfort. We've had Frankfort down. We've had the Secretary of Economic Development down 3 different times to Hopkins County. We've had the Senior Project Manager down. We're not ready, guys. We're trying to get there, and I think we are going to get there. I know we will. Our 72, that leaves us a 72-acre tract that's got all the infrastructure there that the city engineer is working on a permit under the railroad track for CSX to us get sewer to it. And that's sort of in the process. I'd like to get that permit at least and get the design so it's there and we can run it under if we need to. That's been about 4-month process. So we've got to cut these timelines down for these industries. When they come in, they're ready to act. They don't want to wait 2 years while you do an archaeological study and find out there's a burial ground there and it stops the project and they're out all this money. We need a little bit more ground. So if any of y'all have got any thoughts on where there's ground with infrastructure there, no undermining, forget undermining, and floodplain. Just don't even call me. That's what I was told by the state. If it's undermined, Bill, you're wasting your time. So I back completely off. Okay? On this ground that we own, like across from GE and on Rose Creek Road, when we do get an industry here, and when we will, we'll have to give them the ground to get them here. And if we build a spec building, we'll have to give them half of it or all of it. That's what the trend is in the world right now. I wanted you all to know the difference in shovel ready, build ready, and that we are moving toward build ready and getting the site prepared. And it's a 100,000 square foot pad. And a pad means it's withstands X amount and it'll be gravelled. We think that's our best site to start with. The Rose Creek Road, you've got railroad tracks you got to go over. Y'all got any questions?
Bill?
What's a pretty picture in the guys, but that's what's going on. On the corner of Rose Creek Road and Bean Cemetery. But it's in the city limits. That's right on the edge of the city limits. So you can Rose Creek Road back in. Bean Cemetery Road, you can run over to 41A in Nebo, but most of you know that they are going to close Bean Cemetery Road, and they're going to loop it around the transportation department out there. So that road's got this, they got it blacktop now, and it looks like a snake going through there, and I'm sitting there thinking, 18-wheelers coming through here. This is going to be really nice. But it's a good track of ground. We've got to prepare ourselves, not today, but what the future has. And this sports complex and this retail development and Ostrom expanding and spending $70 million, not very sexy when an expansion goes on, but it's the best news we've had in a lot of years. Thank you, Adam Townsend. We've got down at Hanson now, we have an industrial park. It's owned by IDA. We do manage it for them. We've got to work on getting infrastructure into it. There's infrastructure into it. It's just not one put in properly. Sewer won't flow downhill. Uphill and through barrels. Thank you all. We want you all to know what we're doing and where we're headed, and that's where we're headed. So when you go out by GE, the contract was just awarded to start doing the work today, so it'll be moving.
Just one question is on my mind, somewhere is bouncing around. Those tracks, one or both of them, do they have rail access?
All of them have those. The Rose Creek Road and the 16.8 acre have rail
Which is
access.
a plus in addition to, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Eddyville's sitting on one that has, it's on the Riverport. It's got rail, and it's got a 200,000 square foot pad, been sitting there for 5 years. I was on a call, Zoom call with 10 economic developers in the western part of the state, and they're all kind of crying the blues. They can cry. We're going to make headway if we can. Okay?
I'd like to thank you for what you've been doing for Madisonville so far.
Thanks.
I know
Thanks.
you spent a lot of time doing this stuff.
It's been fun, Larry. It's been fun.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Next, we have other committee reports. First, the fire department with Chief Dunning.
Good afternoon, council members. For the month of November, fire department made 149 incidents. 25 of those overlapped each other for a total of 17% overlapping. The pre-incident value of the structures that we had fire incidents in was just over $768,000, and we had the fire loss for the month of just over a little bit over $178,000. From the time we was dispatched to a call till we was responding was an average of 1 minute and 18 seconds. And the dispatch to arrival on the scene was 4 minutes and 34 seconds for the average. We spent a little over 20 minutes average on all the incidents combined. Had 600 monthly training hours. Did 49 pre-incident inspections, 31 fire prevention inspections, 130 code enforcement cases. The grass has really slowed down now. 31 community programs, 2 smoke alarms, 1,197 adult contacts, 441 children contacts. On page 2 is a visual breakdown of the type of calls, incidents that we had. On page 3 is an actual incident breakdown by percentage type of all the 149 incidents. On page 4 is all the businesses that we were in for the month for the pre-incident surveys. And on page 5 is all the community outreach programs that we did for the month. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Chief Dunning? Thank you, Chief. Next, we have the police report by Steve C. Bryan, Chief of Police.
Good afternoon, council members. Month of November 2023, the police department answered 3,620 calls, made 148 total arrests, 32 felonies and 116 non-felonies, investigated 57 accidents, and average response time is right at 4 minutes. So page 2, drug seizures for the month. The total seizures was $7,356, and the most commonly seized drug was marijuana. Page 3, traffic accident, highest times were Thursdays at about noon and 4 p.m. And then on the final page, the calendar year to date, Part 1 crimes are down 3%, all others are down 7%, and the total decrease is 6% calendar year to date. Be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Chief Bryan? Thank you, Chief. Next, we have a resolution to declare patrol rifles as surplus property.
Whereas the City of Madisonville Police Department owns the patrol rifles that are attached hereto as Exhibit A, and whereas the City of Madisonville Police Department requests to dispose of the rifles as they are no longer in service and requests to dispose of the rifles by means appropriate according to KRS 45A.047. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. The patrol rifles as shown on the attached Exhibit A is now declared as surplus property, and the city is authorized to dispose of the patrol rifles by means according to KRS 45A.047. And I have the Exhibit A attached along with the KRS attached.
Is there a motion to approve this resolution for the council? Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Resolution passes. We believe we have some citizens who wish to address the council here before the end of the meeting. If you could approach the podium and state your name and address.
Evening. My name is Stephen Tucker. I live at 219 Barnett Boulevard out in the North Haven area. I came to address the council. I'm sure you all remember the us being up here for the last 5 months talking about the destruction that's happening behind our houses on Barnett, and it's still not getting resolved. We've been in contact with Lincoln, the engineer. He's been very helpful with us, getting us the information we need, and, talking to us, telling us things. But the biggest issue is Mr. French is not following his plan. He has a plan in writing, and if you go out there and look at it and you compare it to the paper plan that I have, that I got from here, they don't look anything alike. My backyard has standing water in it every time there's a significant rain event. This last couple of weekends where we had rain for 2 or 3 days, I still have standing water in front of my shed now. I have a 5.5 foot hill of dirt behind my house that comes up over a retaining wall that he built out of concrete and rubble, that he used the rubble as a footer. It's an eyesore. It can't be right. And he's not following a plan. But when I talked to Lincoln and when the other residents talked to Lincoln, we're being told that this has never happened in the city before, and there's nothing that we can do about it now because there's no rule or law in place that can force him to follow his plan. So I'm asking the city council to put that in action, to make there be a rule or law or ordinance or whatever you label it as, that someone has to follow a plan when they tell you what their plan is. Because currently, that means I can come up here and get a plan to put a new mailbox in and then build a second story on my house. That doesn't sound right to me.
There's the enforcement, right?
There's no enforcement happening. In the last 3 days, he's been burning trash on top of the hill, making it stink down in our neighborhood. So there definitely needs to be some more enforcement actions, something that is a true deterrent to him, to stop him from just doing what he wants to do. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wish to address the council?
My name is Andrew Holmes, North Haven. I just want to kind of second what he said, and we have no timeline as to what's going on. Have no timeline, and my fence, I've got damage where he's flooded out the yard before. I got damage, my building is leaning, my fence is still tore up. We don't know when it's ever going to be fixed or if it is. The way I understand it, as long as he's got a plan and a permit, that it could take him until he gets done. That leaves my fence. I don't know if there's a timeline on when I can get that fixed or not. $4,800 for a half a fence that he knocked down. I had a fence company come out $4,800 to put it back up, because it can't just be stood up. It's got to be stretched or whatever, however they do it. But I just wanted to kind of second what he said. Maybe we can get something done. So thank you all. I just want to let you know about it.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens who wish to address the council? Lincoln, do you have any comment you want to share?
Maybe just as a point of clarification, so for the development that he's doing back there, as near as looking through the ordinance, there's 2 enforceable policies that the city has. One of those is the zoning ordinance, which governs the use of the land, and the second is the stormwater control. And currently, Mr. French is in compliance with the stormwater control, which means his silt fence is up and he's got mulch blankets or sediment control blankets down on the slope. That holds the sediment on his property so that the water that runs off of it, if it does, is cleaned before it leaves. And that's really the extent of the stormwater policy. We don't have an ordinance that says once a plan is submitted for a permit that the builder has to follow that plan to the letter. Normally that's not something that we even worry about, because if someone's going to submit a plan, go through the trouble of getting it drawn up, consulting an engineer, then they follow the plan. Talking to Mr. French and his engineer from Gaston Engineering, this is something that is typical for Mr. French. He'll change the plan very frequently as he's going along. Start a project out one way and then change his mind as he's going. So it's been a task to keep up with him. Now, I've talked to Mr. Gaston from Gaston Engineering, and he is revising that plan currently. I don't have a timeline for when we'll have that submitted, but as Mr. Tucker pointed out, we don't really have a policy that's going to force him to stick with the first plan or to submit a revised plan before he changes what he does on the ground. So if that's something that the council wanted to consider going forward, like I said, it's not typical for a builder to deviate from the plan as much as Mr. French is doing.
Lincoln, if he has to submit a plan to you and you have to approve it, can you approve it conditioned upon this being phase 1 being implemented within X number of days? I mean, can you handle it that way?
I could. I guess what the remedy available if we did that would be I guess pulling
Suit
his
for
permit,
specific performance or to revoke the contract, or revoke the permit.
revoke the permit.
Yeah, both of those would be viable options.
Something that we can definitely, when they submit their revised plan, we can do that.
Is there a way we could also look at like other communities to see if they have like in some of their ordinances, if they have language that possibly has more teeth to the city side than what ours does right now? I mean, I don't know what other communities have when it comes to, you know, language like this in their ordinances.
I mean, we could look. I think what we have here is an atypical builder, and as opposed to an atypical ordinance.
Case, we've had multiple violations through the years and multiple different properties, and so my heart goes out to the individuals affected right now, but unfortunately they're not the first individuals that's had this come under them as well. And so I mean, we do need to look at that ordinance and do need to look at some legal ramifications of what we can do, because I know originally when we kind of did the approval of the permit, we did a cease and desist until we got the actual proper permits. And I know a lot of that only was for the flood control and flood mitigation through Department of Water and stuff, but obviously he's in compliance with those, but there's still damages done to individuals' properties because of this development and because of other developments as well.
Well, I think it's just comments made in the council that we're of a heart to take this under advisement and see what can be, what remedies there might be available to use. This is
Each of the affected property owners certainly has a legal right to pursue a claim against
Right.
French Construction for any private damages that they may have suffered. They don't have to rely on the city of
Right,
Madisonville
right.
to be the enforcement agency. Obviously, we will assist as we can, but you don't have to wait on the city. You're welcome to file your own suit for damages, and you would have an option available there to get an injunction to prohibit continuing activities that were not in compliance with either our ordinance or the permit. So
right.
those are remedies. Unfortunately, they come at cost, but that's an option that each of the affected property owners has.
Citizens have a cause of action, basically. Thank you, Lincoln. Secondary comment?
Wanted to bring up, it's not just us as property owners that's being affected. He's made damages to the cable TV lines. He's actually cut the phone lines. He's knocked down the guide wires holding telephone poles up. So it's affecting utilities as well, not just us as properties. So I just wanted to let you know that as well.
Thank you. Is there any other business to come before the council?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made to adjourn. Second. We stand adjourned.